Hi DIYers, Sterling with Alarm Grid here, and today we're going to show you a great feature on the Honeywell Lyric that wasn't available on the Honeywell Lynx Touch, and that's the burglary alarm sounder option. Alright, so if we use our installer code programming, tools 4112, we can get into programming. This system is not yet associated for any kind of monitoring services, so because Honeywell Lyric is really a system best used with alarm monitoring through an AlarmNet provider, it always wants to associate with an account. Just ignore these screens for these purposes. Has nothing to do with the video we're showing you here. Just because we haven't yet associated is why we're getting that prompts. All right, now that we're in programming, you'll notice this screen, if you're at all familiar with a Lynx Touch system, is very, very similar. A little bigger, so you have the fifth row without having to toggle down. But sounder is an option. And within sounder, you have a couple options. How long will the sounder go into alarm mode when there's an alarm before it times out? Do you want the system to make a loud beep when you use your key fob so you know it's armed? That's the arm confirm. This burglary alarm sound option is a new one. And I should say it's sort of, well, it's been there on the Lynx Touch, but it never really did anything. All right, now it's there and it actually does something. On the Lynx Touch, if you've ever selected that no because you wanted the panel not to make a loud noise, whether it's because you're testing the system or because you've installed the system in a spot where you don't want an intruder to hear the siren and know where the system is, of course the system supports advanced protection logic, which will protect for that kind of break-in. But if you're not monitored, maybe you wanted to protect it by turning the siren off. On the Lynx Touch, there was no way to do it. All right, this burglary alarm sound, even set to no, it made a similar sound, slightly different pitch and tone, but still a very loud siren. So it was a confusing feature. A lot of people thought and assumed, even we did when we first got the Lynx Touches many years ago, that by selecting that to be no, you're saying don't have the alarm go off. They finally, I don't know if it was a bad feature on the Lynx Touch or a thing they reworked because there was some confusion, but now on the Lyric, when you select this to no and save it and exit to the home screen, aside from any volume selection, which we've shown you in another video is selectable by here, and that only affects the voice and the feedback tones and the chimes, that burglary alarm sound literally turns off the internal siren for the system. On a Lynx Touch, the only way to do it was to disconnect the physical siren internally in the panel, and then you would lose the voice and the chime and all the rest. With the Lyric, you actually can turn off the internal sounder and still have it give you the feedback, the button presses, and the voice enunciations. However, when you put it into a full alarm mode, you don't hear the loud piercing siren, you hear a more limited siren, and we're going to show you that. So we put it into a panic mode. This is an audible alarm panic. You can hear how quiet that is. That's because we have our burglary alarm sounder turned to no, or set to no. If we disarm, you can hear panel still speaking to us, still giving us feedback. If we were to hold the panic button and set off the fire alarm, you can hear, instead of the steady burglary sounder, you have the temporal pulse 3, which is the industry standard for fire. The beep, beep, beep with a pause and then a repeat. But you can hear again that it's very, very quiet. And when disarming, if we jump back into programming, we have to disarm. See this alarm cancel message at the top? We have to hit the home button twice. Do one more disarm, which will clear the latched alarm cancel messages, and now we can access tools. So when we do 4112, and we click save. We acknowledge the AlarmNet 360 side. What we're going to do is go back in, re-enable the burglary alarm sounder, which turns the internal siren back on, and we'll go ahead and set off those 2 panics one more time so you can hear the difference. So now we select it to yes, make sure to save it, and again through sounder level of programming. And now if we press and hold the panic, we'll do the local alarm first. Much louder. Disarm. Disarm twice to clear it. And if we try again on the fire, temporal pulsing, but still very loud. Disarm twice. Which clears our alarm cancel message. And that shows you how, whether it's for testing purposes, if you're doing your full installation and you want to go around and activate your zones and you don't want to scare your neighbors or have everyone in the house have to deal with that sounder, you can temporarily turn it off. Or if you have any reason to feel like you want to hide the panel and not have it go into that full loud alarm noise, instead of having to internally disconnect anything like you would on a Lynx Touch, the Lyric actually lets you programmatically change that through the sounder burglary alarm sound option. So we hope that's a helpful feature. We certainly think it's an improvement over the Lynx Touch, and we get that question a lot on the Lynx Touch, is how do I turn my siren off? And it used to be, well, there's this kind of funny feature that you would think does it but doesn't actually do it. Now that funny feature has been turned into a true feature that actually turns off the internal sounder. So we think that's a big improvement on the Honeywell Lyric, and a great job by Honeywell to give some added functionality that whether you're testing or hiding the panel would be a really good feature to use. So we hope you've enjoyed this video on turning off the alarm sounder in your Lyric panel. We invite you to email us any questions about the feature, support@alarmgrid.com. And please do subscribe to our channel so that all of the new videos that we'll be releasing explaining how this great new Honeywell Lyric system works, you'll have great access to.